violence. Now, of course, Israel is being condemned for defending herself. This would be like them striking Pearl Harbor and us not doing anything about it. And then when we finally decide to do something about it, we are condemned from the European Union or the international community. You know, you always see the Palestinian spokesman. We are asking the international community to come in and stop Israel from, doing this in the occupied territories. The ones who are occupying the territories are the Arabs. That land belongs to the Jew. God said it, and that settles it. And that's an Arab telling you that. And I realized that could get me shot in some circles. This from Press TV. EU slams Israel over Gaza massacre. Oh, what about all the Jews? What about all of the Israelites who have been massacred at the hands of the Muslims? EU has condemned Israel's disproportionate use of force in the Gaza Strip, urging restraint by all parties in the escalating violence. The European Union has criticized what it called disproportionate use of force by the Israeli military in Gaza after nearly 100 Palestinians were killed in just 4 days. In a statement, the EU urged Israel to halt activities that endanger civilians, saying they were contrary to international law. This church is evil. In the last days, they will call good evil, and they will call evil good. And this is what we see taking place even now. One final prophecy, and we'll get into our study in the book of Acts. It's found in Zechariah chapter 12. I'm sure some of you, if not most of you, are familiar with it. It's the word of the Lord concerning Israel. The Lord who stretches out the heavens, who lays the foundation of the earth, and who forms the spirit of man within him, declares, I'm going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples, all the nations, all the people surrounding Israel, reeling. Judah will be besieged as well as Jerusalem. On that day when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All who try to move it will injure themselves. On that day I will strike every horse with panic and its rider with madness, declares the Lord. I will keep a watchful eye over the house of Judah, but I will blind all the horses of the nations. Then the leaders of Judah will say in their hearts, the people of Jerusalem are strong, because the Lord Almighty is their God. On that day I will make the leaders of Judah like a fire pot in a woodpile, like a flaming torch among sheaves. They will consume right and left all the surrounding peoples, but Jerusalem will remain intact in her place. Did you hear that, Iran? Did you hear that, Syria? Did you hear that, Tyre and Sidon? Did you hear that, all the surrounding nations? You can come against Israel, but God will defend her. Not the United States. God himself will come to Israel's rescue, and he will save them, and they will not be moved. But the prophecy is that all the nations will surround Israel. They will attack Israel. And this is exactly what is taking place even now. One last thing. I can't for the life of me imagine how it is that the church today in the United States of America can somehow believe that the church replaces Israel as God's promised chosen people entitled to the promises of God, that God is somehow through with the Jew. I can't imagine how it is that this preterist theology can actually believe and even teach that the modern day fulfillment of the dried bones of Ezekiel, the return of Israel to the land, is not a prophecy that was foretold by the prophets of old. I can't imagine how it is that people cannot look at Israel and see what's going on and then look in their Bibles and see what God said would be going on and not fall on their face and say, oh God, the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, whose name would be changed to Israel. I can't imagine how it is that even as believers, that this doesn't wake us up and shake us up to cause us to look up. Like Jesus said in Luke 21:28, when you see these things begin to come to pass, look up and lift up your heads and know your redemption draweth nigh. I believe we are so close to the rapture of the church. It is at the door. And there's nothing that has to happen prophetically. These prophecies we just looked at, these happen for the most part, some believe, in the tribulation. So if we're seeing these things begin to come to pass, those things which are fulfilled in the tribulation, and we know the rapture has to happen before the tribulation, and it does, then how close is the rapture? I think it's going to come as a thief in the night, like Jesus said. It's going to come in an hour when we don't expect it, like Jesus said. I don't think that really we're ready. I think that it will catch us off guard. It will come as a thief in the night. Church, I really beg you to take these things and what John said in the Revelation, what he wrote, what Jesus said in the Revelation. Blessed are those who read, hear, and take to heart the prophecies that are written in this book. Do you know the book of Revelation is the only book in all the Bible that promises a blessing to those who read it, hear it, and take it to heart? See, we can read them, we can even study them, we can hear, but it's when we take it to heart and heed it that it becomes a blessing in our lives. It causes us to purify our lives and ready our lives for His return so it doesn't catch us off